Yato used to be a fierce and merciless god of war whose name was renowned for centuries of fear. He subjected those who desired to be killed to all the great horrors. He is thus acknowledged as a god of calamity, but since the time when he was a god of war, circumstances have changed and Japan is currently experiencing a period of relative peace. Yato will complete any task for 5 yen despite being a god who is in fact a nobody. He gets a call one day asking him to look for a stray cat by the name of my lord. He avoids being hit by a bus thanks to the actions of middle schooler Hiyori, who is searching for the cat. She is ultimately the one who is struck by the bus. Yato's power prevented her from passing away, and when she sees her body lying on the ground, she realizes that her soul had been separated from her body. She can now move freely between the physical world and the spiritual realm. But ultimately, the girl's soul is cut off from her body. While trying to find the same lost cat the following day, Yato is forced to turn around because a sizable toad phantom is in his way. Yato makes an effort to combat the phantom, but he lacks a regalia, a spirit of an innocently deceased person that can transform into a divine weapon and unleash a god's full power. Fortunately, Hiyori shows up in spirit form and saves him. They try to get away from the big frog, but it jumps in their way and blocks their way. The frog is already dead thanks to her kickboxing maneuver. Yato grabs her hand and flees the phantom. He delivers my lord to the child's home after finishing his task. Later that evening, Yato is lying on Hiyori's actual body when she awakens and queries him about her condition. Yato explains that she can move between the spirit and human worlds and that she is essentially a half-phantom. He also makes mention of the existence of phantoms in the spirit world. They come in a variety of sizes and shapes, but they are lifeless and prey on the living. Only infants, animals, and gods are able to see these creatures. Hiyori is essentially residing on the cusp of both worlds. He tells her. Hiyori panics and begs him to change her back to a regular human, but Yato coerces her into giving him 5 yen. When Hiyori pays up, he promises to assist her in getting back to normal while concealing the fact that he has no idea how to do so. 1 week later, Yato receives a call from Hiyori asking when he will restore her to normal. However, Yato informs her that he can't because he needs a regalia. A few hours later, she gives him a call to let him know she has found a spirit willing to serve as his regalia. Yato teleports to her right away, but it turns out to be a huge phantom. While the two are running as quickly as they can, Yato notices an uncorrupted spirit. He changes the spirit into a bandaged katana with the name Yuki using his life force. When these conditions are met, Yato calls his regalia, which absorbs his memories and causes him to be eaten by the phantom. However, using his divine abilities, Yato chants his prayer and chants Yuki, launching a barrage of cuts that instantly killed the phantom. After hearing about Yuki's tragic past, Yato collapses to the ground and sobs. Later, he goes to one of the shrines and uses holy water to wash the corrosion from his hand that the phantom's bite left behind. Yuki assumes a human form, and Yato introduces Yuki as Yukain to Hiyori. He tells Yukain that from this point forward, he will serve as his regalia. The following day, Yato demands cash from Hiyori in order to pay for their lunch and dinner. Yato feels the sting of Yukain's impure thoughts. Yukain is informed by Yato that gods and their regalia share a common mind and body. A regalia's master is affected by each and every evil thought that it has, and occasionally they are both harmed. He is then given a job, and when he gets there, an elderly man appears. Hiyori immediately recognizes him as Tenjin, the god of knowledge. Tenjin requests Yato to remove some phantoms that are infesting a railroad as a result of a storm, an occurrence that draws many phantoms to a location. To assist him, the god sends his most recent regalia. Yato's former regalia, Mayu, admitted she was a gold digger and resigned from her position as his divine weapon because of his financial hardship. Mayu informs Yato about suicides while she is there. Although Yato is reluctant to complete the task, she does so after seeing that the phantom was aiming for Hiyori. Yato, what's with the abrupt change in tone? Yato replies that he won't allow anyone to perish in front of regalias. It should be noted that people should be grateful for their lives even though they are painful and challenging as they are. It's terrible to see people carelessly throw away their lives, especially those who once yearned to live as long as possible. A few days later, Yato goes to see Kafuku, one of the 7 fortune-bringing gods and his sugar mother. Kafuku is introduced to Hiyori, Yukain, and her regalia, Deikoku, by him. After receiving a second call, Yato departs to finish the task. Apparently, Kafuku conned a man out of his money, but Yato and Yukain were able to break the man's ties with Kafuku, saving him from an eternally disastrous life. Yato queries Hiyori later in the evening as to why it took her so long to travel from Kafuku's residence. He immediately understands they have told her about his past after hearing her response. He used to be a god of war who destroyed everything in his path, including humans, regalias, and phantoms. But times have changed, and gods of war are no longer necessary. Gods were made at someone's command. Major gods are always remembered and wished for, but minor gods like Yato must find a way to survive. Yato fulfills people's wishes as a result. He will be forgotten and his existence will vanish if he doesn't assist them. He then advises Hiyori to seek Kafuku's help if anything were to happen to him. Later, Nora, Yato's previous attire from his days as a murderous god, makes an appearance. When Yato confronts Nora, she promises to wait for him to call her out before vanishing without a trace. Later on that day, Hiyori makes the decision to look after Yukain. Yato declines and explains that Yukine is prone to having immoral thoughts, so they cannot stay together. But the next day, Yukine still makes the trip with Hiyori. Yato keeps an eye on Yukine, and it appears that Yukine is doing a lot of bad things that are beginning to harm Yato's health. He informs Hiyori that Yukine's evil thoughts are having an impact on them, citing the fact that ancient regalia were once actual people who sent themselves into temptation in order to teach the gods about right and wrong. That evening, they learned that Yukine and Hiyori had been attacked by phantoms and had rescued them. However, a girl who Yukine attempted to assist after spotting her sobbing on the sidewalk while waiting for her parents is one of the phantoms. The girl, however, was already tainted, despite Yukine's opposition to killing the young girl, forcing her to kill the phantom as it evolves. The following day, Yato stops Yukine from skating and inquires about the origin of his skateboard. Yukine lies to Hiyori while claiming that he already gave her that. She confirms it after a short while. Later, Bishamon attacks Yato and Yukine. Yato killed one of the other gods of war's regalias, and she wants to exact revenge on him. Yato is attacked by Bishamon, but he avoids it. Then, after taking a breath, he tries to run away. Given the disparity in strength between him and Bishamon, Yukine receives a reprimand from Yato and is ordered to straighten up, but he appears reluctant. After finally catching up to Yato, Bishamon challenges the latter. Another shot from her is directed at Yato. She fires another one, but Yukine's blades fail to stop it this time, causing Yato to flee and attempt to get away from Bishamon. When he returns, Yukine asks him if he really killed Bishamon's regalia, and Yato responds in the affirmative. But when Bishamon discovers them, he begins raising a forest. Reserve Yato challenges her, but just as they are about to clash. When Kafuku arrives, he summons a portal that connects the underworld and the human world in an effort to break up the fight between the two gods, which is home to the horrifying and terrifying phantoms. Everyone decides to withdraw in order to deal with the phantoms that will spread into town after realizing how large the vent is. Later that evening, Yato starts working at a convenience store and receives a visit from Kafuku. Yukine's thoughts sting Yato once more, and when Yato confronts him about it, he denies any wrongdoing and begins to flee because Yato doesn't trust him. He trips over Kafuku as he flees, who then drops a donation box, showing that he actually did steal something. Kafuku assigns Yato to kill the phantom once more. Yato is being reminded by Hiyori that regalias are people, not just tools, and should be treated as such. Yato searches for Yukine while pursuing the phantoms. He tells him not to listen to Yukine after finding her talking to Nora. Yato then summons Yukine, who chases after the butterfly phantom and tries to cut it. However, because of the breakdown in their relationship and Yukine's transformation into a dull blade, the phantom suffers only minor damage. The phantom pursues Yato and grabs him by the mouth, but Yato poisons the phantom by filling it with holy water. Yato uses the remaining water to drown the Seki and kills the phantom with his skills. The following day, Yato secures another job from Manabu, a victim of bullying. Observing their similarities, Yukine exits the restroom and sets out on his own. Manabu receives a cutter from Yato to deal with his bullies, and Yato advises him to confront the bully if he doesn't want to retain his humanity. Later, Manabu is discovered by Hiyori and Yato after dealing with his bully. On the other hand, temptation and Yukine's desire have completely consumed him. The desire to live the life that his previous life had stolen from him, causing him to go on the attack and begin breaking the school's windows. Yato is forced to collapse to the ground as a result as the blight begins to consume his body. Hiyori finds Yukine while carrying Yato on her back and informs him that Yato has become more afflicted as a result of each bad deed he has committed, and that things have now gotten so bad that he may actually pass away. Yato tried to put up with the discomfort, but now it's almost impossible to save him. Daikoku draws a line and forbids them from entering and possibly contaminating Kafuku as Hiyori rushes to the front door of the building to plead for assistance. Kafuku allows Hiyori to enter while he asks the nearby shrines for assistance after she begs the two to aid her. Mayu agrees to assist him, but the others reject him because Yato is a mysterious god. He goes to Bishamon's shrine and requests Kazuma's assistance because doing so puts the people performing the cleansing in danger. Kazuma agrees because he owes Yato a favor. Because of her tainted regalia, Bishamon once contracted the blight as well, forcing Kazuma to ask Yato to kill the goddess' corrupted regalia and prevent her from suffering a painful death. The three regalias Kazuma, Kafuku, and Mayu immediately construct a barrier made of borderlines when the two arrive at Kafuku's house to begin the ablution ritual and begin cleansing Yukine's spirit. After noticing that phantoms were emerging from his back, Yato coughs up a lot of blood from the agonizing pain. Yukine still refuses to acknowledge his transgressions, so the three regalias tighten their border, forcing Yukine to do so. Hiyori reminds Yukine of Yato's generosity when he was in need as his name keeps fading. Yato also explains to him that he is no longer able to interact with them or live a normal life. He instructed him to live as the person whose name he had given you. Yukine is forced to finally confess his crimes as a result of this warming him up and piercing his ice-cold heart. Yukine changes back into a human. After he is made to sincerely apologize by Yato for everything he did, the two of them reunite. The following day, Hiyori calls Yato to invite him and Yukine to a shrine visit. As soon as Yato and Yukine finish their workday, they go to see Hiyori. However, Hiyori is unable to recall Yato, despite Yato's best efforts. It appears that Hiyori can remember everyone else but him. Returning, Nora informs them that she stole Hiyori's memories of Yato and that he must go see them if he wants them back. After a long absence, the god of calamity Rabu appears and challenges Yato. When peace came, Rabu faded into obscurity while Yato survived for 5 years working odd jobs. Rabu and Yato were once gods in arms. Yato calls upon Yukain once more and crosses swords with Rabu, but the god of misfortune is stronger than him. Yato responds by lowering himself to Rabu's level. Rabu tries to persuade Yato to revert to his former identity as a god of calamity, but Yukain is able to keep Yato from slipping into the shadows. As the two gods of disasters clash swords, a storm forms nearby, drawing a large number of ghosts. He is given a deadline by Nora, who promises to give her Hiyori's memories if he succeeds in defeating Rabu. Yukain tries to discuss how to recover Hiyori's lost memories after learning about Yato's past, but Yato tells him to forget about it. The following day, Nora reappears and makes fun of Yato for Hiyori's failing memory. She warns her that if he doesn't come and see them, he won't have time. Hiyori will become a memoryless, empty vessel. The following day, Yato and Yukain pay Hiyori a visit and promise to restore her memories. Finally, they confront Nora and square off against Rabu. Yato is surprised to see Hiyori with the three when they get to the shrine. Yato begins combat with Rabu. The two fight once more, but Rabu is only standing back. Yato and Yukain take advantage of the opportunity to attack him, but Rabu repels them. Yato is then enclosed by Rabu in a water sphere, but Hiyori rescues him from the vessel. Rabu becomes enraged by this and begins to pursue Hiyori, but Yato stops him. Rabu discovers them huddled behind a rock and retreats. The marble sphere containing Hiyori's memories is then displayed by him. After that, he slices it in half, causing Hiyori to lose consciousness and infuriating Yato in the process. Yato unleashes his true god of war powers and pursues Rabu as if he were someone entirely different. As Yato and Rabu engage in sword combat, his attacks get more focused and vicious. The two sprint toward each other from behind Rabu and then punch each other. Rabu summons the brewing storm and merges with the phantoms before Yato strikes Rabu in the shoulders, turning him into a hybrid of god and phantom. They nearly kill Hiyori by destroying the nearby surroundings as they trade blows. Fortunately, Yato is able to save her just in time. Rabu, however, takes Hiyori away and questions Yato about why he declined to return as a god of calamity. Yato informs him that he doesn't care, and since the situation has changed, Rabu directs his ire at Hiyori by saying that she will be sacrificed after performing his chant. To eliminate the phantom inside Rabu, Yato uses Yukain. Yato kills Rabu after destroying the phantom. By putting an end to one of his dark past relics, he moved a little bit closer to the shrine of his dreams. As the day comes to an end, Yato urges Hiyori to end her relationship with them and resume her normal life, but she vehemently rejects his suggestion and decides to stay with him forever. Yato complies with her request and gives her the fate connecting her to the stray god. For more anime recap, click here to subscribe and watch more. Thanks for watching.